And we're back once again, only on Last Call. Last Call with the alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com. And join me once again, all the way from Eurosport UFC, Tapology, MMA Oddsbreaker podcast. He is ready and ripped to go, and he's going to be breaking down fights, dropping some nuggets, and talking some trash. Thank you. It's the one, the only, the legendary Marcel Dorff. So, Marcel, let's start off here with it was the main event. It was Lerone Murphy versus Mosav Evolev. So controversy abound. You and I were talking off air about, who won the fight. Some people say Evolev, some say Murphy. Was there a clear win in your opinion? Or was this one of those fights that we'll never get an answer from half the people because they still think the other guy won?
And then people will be like, I do that split on this one for sure. I thought it was a close fight. First two rounds, I scored for Murphy, but the first round was pretty close. So, I mean, it maybe could go either way. Third round, I scored for Evloev because of the last 30 seconds. I thought it was pretty even till that. So that went to him. Fourth round, Evolev clear, but he got a point deduction. So it was pretty much 2-2 for me, with Evolev having a point deduction. And fifth round was clear for Mofsar. So I scored at 47-47. But yeah, I mean, if there's no point deduction, Mofsar wins, in my opinion. So I didn't have too much of a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, it's one of these fights that are super close, and the point deduction didn't really help the cause, pretty much, in my opinion. But it didn't do any damage on the outcome, because without the point deduction, Mofsar would have won a unanimous decision. So yeah, now it's a majority. Yeah, overall, pretty decent fight. I was surprised that Mofsar didn't grapple a lot until the third or fourth round. Um, yeah, I mean, okay fight, and Mossad should fight for a title next, in my opinion.
Will he fight for a title? Or do you see
That's the
UFC
question.
going, we want more sexy action. Let's get John Silva instead, the fighting nerd. We don't want any of that grappling crap.
Yeah, I really don't give a shit about John Silva in the title fight. I don't think he deserves it right now. He's 1-1 in his last two fights, and he's only one win against a top 15 guy, which is Arnold Allen, and he just got passed by Arnold Allen. If you look at the same, I mean, Evloev also beat Arnold Allen, but he also has wins over Lerone Murphy, over Aljamain Sterling, over Diego Lopez. So he has much more of a case, in my opinion. And the thing is, like, you can say John Silva is much more entertaining, yeah, but he's also fighting less. Less quality opponents. I mean, I know Bryce Mitchell's pretty good, but he's not like top 10 or anything, or top 5. And Mossar is beating everybody so far. So, and also like legit good opponents. So for me, I think Evloev should be next. If you can call this a sport, if you want to make this a spectacle, yeah, they will probably maybe go with Jean Silva. But I think Jean Silva needs at least one more win to fight for a title, in my opinion, at least.
Meanwhile, for Lerone Murphy, he's shown he's not a boring guy. So does the UFC go, hey, we feel bad for you, so we're gonna give you a second chance? Yair Rodriguez, Lerone Murphy, does that make sense? Seems that both guys want a title shot, but they're sort of right on the outskirts of it.
I mean, I'd be good with it. I think the fight makes sense. Yair against Murphy. Why not? But Yair is very picky in his fights, I feel like. So I don't know if he does, if he accepts it, but yeah, I'd like to see it for sure. Let's go.
Let's get to the co-main event, which had people excited. Luke Riley defeated Michael Answell by unanimous decision. As you said, Luke will probably go for Dana White privilege. Is he that good though? I mean, he looked good, but again, is this just like one of those Dana White privilege fights where they gave him a guy who really fit into his wheelhouse?
Yeah, he's like that guy who's like, he's talented, but he's still pretty green, I feel like, and he still is still in development. So what he did on Saturday was pretty decent, I think. As well as super tough. I think he won the fight. So, I mean, Riley won the fight. So, yeah, of course, good win. But yeah, it's like, it depends on. I think they're going to slow roll him. And if they're slow rolling him, this might be a smart thing, because if they're going to push him up quick, I think he will lose it against a couple of guys right now because he doesn't have that quality yet, but he definitely has potential, you know. And I think the UFC sees that as well, you know. He probably get the Paddy Road in the UFC, you know.
This is a side note here. Crowd was not that full for this fight card, and you've pointed out that between the prices, the card
Mhm.
quality, that it's starting to catch up with them. And look, this isn't a slam on Luke Riley, but should he have been the co-main event, or should they have tried to get like a bigger, sexier fight?
So yeah, this is the thing, right? I didn't mind him being the co-main event because I thought this fight was pretty fun to watch. You know, on paper, you know, afterwards I was like, okay, it's an okay fight. But the thing is, like, mostly the seats are filled by a lot of casual fans who like the UFC. Also some hardcore there, you know, but the UFC always leave their ears hanging to the casual fans. So yeah, I mean, then I'm not surprised that a lot of people maybe don't show up because Evolev versus Murphy is a big fight, but it's also not a sexy fight, you know, because like a lot of people thought that Marcel would grapple for 5 rounds. Riley as well are pretty unknown by a lot of people, you know, not by the hardcores. And you have MVP. Well, let's not talk about that or later, but yeah, it was overall. It was, I think, it was an okay card if you look from it from a hardcore perspective and on paper. But for the casual fan, not a lot of well-known guys on it, you know. So that's what you say.
You brought up MVP, so let's get to the chase. This fight
Yeah, I'm
sucked
sorry.
ass and swallowed, and then blew chunks. That's how bad it was. Marcel, I am banning you from ever making fun of heavyweights again. No heavyweight fight was as bad as this. Now I'm even counting friggin' the fight that almost shall not be named, Data 5000 versus Kimbo Slice. At least that had some comedy to it. This just sucked. There was a lot of preening, posturing, possible feint kicks. Nothing really got landed. Why does the UFC torture us? Why is MVP still fighting when the fans were booing after the first round, let alone after the fight? Like, this was torture.
It was horrible, man, to watch. I mean, I cannot say anything good about this fight. You know, it was torture, like you said. You know, and MVP has been torture in the UFC, in my opinion, because I haven't enjoyed this fight so far. Patterson was on a nice streak. He broke that streak now. You know, it's just an overall horrible fight, man. Just a waste of time. This fight. Yeah, I'd rather watch Paint Dry for 15 minutes than watch this, to be honest. So no, it wasn't good. Normally, I'm not that hard on fights, but this was absolutely disgraceful.
Like, where do they put him next? Because you're almost afraid to put him in with anybody because he might stink up a joint. And if you give him a wrestler, they'll just take him down, ground and pound, and he'll feel almost helpless. So I mean, where do they go? I mean, do they just quietly go, "Hey, look, we're just gonna release you. We'll put in a good word with Jake Paul and his outfit. You can fight for them, but yeah, this ain't working."
I mean, if I'm the UFC, I don't sign. I don't re-sign him, to be honest. You know, um, you have nothing on this guy, in my opinion. You know, he has like the potential to be super fun to watch, but he hasn't been fun in the UFC because he fights like good opponents and not mediocre opponents like he did in Bellator. You know, I like a lot of them, not everybody, but. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, he fought 4 times now in the UFC. He beat Kevin Holland in his debut. Okay, you know, he lost to Ian Gary. Yeah, okay. Ian Gary is like a top prospect. That's okay. He won against Shara Magomedov, where we completely stole all hype from Shara Magomedov, which I never thought was legit because I never thought Shara was that amazing, you know. Then he wins against Cannonier, also not in a great fight. A lot of people say that's a great fight. Yeah, you probably something on your eyes if you think that was a fun fight. And that is actually his fifth fight now against Sam Patterson, which was horrible to watch. So if I'm the UFC and he's not on a 10 plus 10 contract or 15 plus 15, I wouldn't resign him, man. Why would you? You know, I mean, it's just not fun to watch, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me because I saw a lot of MVP nut huggers on my timeline. But yeah, I'm not interested.
Well, This guy here. Now, this guy, yeah, I was, hey, it might have been, like, some nipple play. I was getting very happy. Ewu Baranowski. God, this guy does not believe getting paid by the fight or even paid by the minute. 32-second knockout just goes in there, beats Austin Lane like he stole something. And afterwards, he's saying, hey, he wanted to show off more of his jujitsu, his judo skills and everything. But God damn it, Marcel, I'm in love. This guy just know he is His name means Polish for violence.
Yeah, man. I mean, he has looked so good so far in the UFC, right? They know, a contender series, quick knockout against Aslan, amazing fight, and now he knocked out Austin Lane pretty quick. Yeah, I think he's a fun guy to watch. He's undefeated as well. The only thing I have to watch out for is that now he maybe gets an opponent leveling up, and then I want to see how good he really is, because for now he fought Austin Lane, who only has one win in the UFC against Robelas de Spain. You know, I mean, and against Aslan, who also hasn't looked amazing in the UFC, in my opinion. So, wonder what they give him next, man. I think we briefly talked about him, and I think we said both Alonso Manifield against Zhang Mingyang the winner, and I think that makes sense. This is an interesting guy for sure. He has the it factor so far in the UFC. I think people want to watch this guy. So yeah, why not? Give him somebody low in the top 15. Look how he does against those guys, and maybe his judo comes more into play, which he wanted to show as well. He said so. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. But he's an interesting guy to keep an eye on.
He's getting a Dana White privilege, chances now. I feel like all you could tell Dana's going, hoo hoo hoo. This is my new binky. Is it safe to say that UFC is going to push this guy as a major star, or at least give him a lot of, let's say, favorable fights going forward?
Yeah, it's very possible, of course. The thing is, like, I don't know, still know what his what his top is, because we've seen so little of him, So I want to see him challenge. Actually, he kind of looks like a light heavyweight Marvin Vettori, but I want to see him challenged against better opposition, and let's see if the UFC does that in this next fight.
I can feel Marcel here going, hey, we should have him take on Khalil Roundtree Jr. That way we can get rid of Khalil Roundtree Jr. next. But that's a different story, different day. Let's go to a guy who is we might have to start taking him a lot more seriously. Christian Leroy Duncan defeating Roman Dolidze by unanimous decision. Did this say more about Duncan and his improved striking, or Dolidze and his really questionable fight IQ, almost turning away, going to his back, trying to entice Duncan to follow him?
I mean, this was a kind of a weird fight, in my opinion. Dolitza tried everything to get that fight to the ground, and striking wise, he was a step behind on Duncan. But you saw also with Duncan in the third round, where Dolitza was able to get his back. His ground game isn't great, and as long as that comes into play, it will be difficult for him, I think. And but overall, he clearly won the fight. Obviously, the first two rounds were clearly for him. Dulitz didn't look amazing, but yeah, I mean, good for Duncan. Finally, he comes into the top 15. Let's see what's next for him. I'm still not 100% convinced in him. But I think he's an interesting guy, and yeah, let's see who they give him next, and let's see if he can if he can continue this streak where he's on, because that's really good so far.
What do you want to see from Duncan going forward? Like you say that you're not impressed too much yet. Like what do you want to see then in terms of
I,
like his development?
I mean, the ground game is still a concern to me. His striking is pretty good. It's entertaining to watch. He has the knockout power, but the ground game is something like I'm really concerned about. When you fight facing a good grappler, I don't know if he can, if he'll be able to keep the fight standing and to win fights. So that's my concern here. But hey, maybe he surprises. You never know. Maybe listen, all these guys are leveling up every time they fight. At least most of these guys. So he will probably as well. We'll see, man. I mean, we'll see.
Well, Danny Silva shocked the world. A lot of people thought this was going to be Curtis Campbell's night. You and I thought he was going to win by unanimous decision. Instead, 31 seconds into round two, one straight right hand put Curtis Campbell out. Should we take Danny Silva more seriously? When you look at his record, 3-1 v UFC, that loss was to Kevin Vallejos by unanimous decision, who is murking people. Could we look at Danny Silva as the guy who's like, hey, maybe he's ready in about a fight or two for a top 10, top 15 fight?
Yeah, I never not took him not seriously or anything. I always thought Danny Silva was pretty legit. He's from the Bloodlines team with Cap Swanson. And you saw already against Kevin Vallejos, he gave him a really good fight last time. And the thing with this one was, I was like, Curtis probably going to try to spam a takedown to keep him on the ground and win a close decision. That's what I said before the fight. And it looked like that in the first round that he was going to do that. But Danny Silva adjusted and knocked him out in the second round. It was a beautiful TKO. And he also should have gone to 100K, in my opinion. But the problem is he asked for it, and then the UFC doesn't give it to you. So, but I think he deserved it. Yeah, I mean, very good performance. Do I give him somebody in top 15? No, probably somewhere top 20, top 25, somewhere around there. But yeah, for sure, I was impressed. He looked really good. And he's just a fun prospect as well, in my opinion. He's an interesting guy, good fighter. And 145 is stacked. So, I mean, there are so many options for him. I don't have a name for you right off the bat, but I mean, there are a lot of options for him to fight at 145, and it's a really interesting division, I think.
Meanwhile, what do you do with Curtis Campbell? Because the UFC doesn't want to, they are trying to invest in all these rising kids, but is he just out of his depth, or was this just a bad matchup for him?
I mean, they will build him back up. They will give him somebody who's on a bad streak. Who has to fight for his contract to give him to Curtis Campbell, and Curtis will probably win his next fight. So they will try to build him back up, probably.
Let's go to the fight that everybody was talking about. It
Uh,
was Mason Jones, Axel Sola, 3 rounds of just brutality. Poor Mason Jones had a cut that looked like somebody just slashed him with a cleaver right across the cheek, and yet he still won that fight. Wow. I mean, that was one where afterwards you need to have a cigarette and go, that was violence. That was I'm guessing even you approved of this fight, Marcel.
this was the best fight on the card, man. It was really fun to watch. I mean, both guys look like Marvin Eastman, but then under the eye instead of above the eye. Yeah, that was a fun fight. Great matchmaking, this one by the UFC, I think. Axel Sola, first time in his actual weight class at 155. He made his debut at 170 on short notice. He showed he's super legit, man. And Mason Jones has looked amazing since his comeback to the UFC. He got cut after the first contract, went to Cage Warriors, became champion, came back, and looks amazing, man. I mean, the Jeremy Stevens fight was amazing, the first two of the 3 rounds. The Balaji Oki was a great fight, where he finished. Um, I'm missing one, I'm forgetting the other one, but they were all good fights since he came back. And yeah, Mason Jones is an interesting guy to keep an eye on, but so is Axel Sola as well. I think Axel showed that. Well, I should actually call him Axel, but Axel showed that he's legit. That he's really good, and happy for the French people. They have another guy who's really good, but he lost. But man, Mason Jones, give the guy a top 15 guy. I don't mind that. I think he deserves it. He looked amazing. Yeah, he got clipped early on in the first round, but still he came through overcame adversity, as you guys would say, and was able to get the win. So yeah, give him somebody in top 15, man. I don't mind who, but maybe somebody between 10, 15 would be great. I think this is a guy the fans like, the UFC likes, and this is a guy who comes to fight, and is not afraid to put his own face on the line, pretty much to get some damage and to give some damage. So these are your fighters' favorite fighters, right? So yeah, Mason Jones, all credits to you, amazing win, and also all credits to Axel Sola, because you need two guys to make it a great fight, right?
What changed with Mason Jones? Because you followed him, so like he went 1-2 in his first UFC stint, and as you said, they let him go after his contract expired. Came back, he's now 3-0 the UFC. So, and you could argue that Sola, Stevens, and Oki are better than Mike Davis. So, is it mental? Is it physical? Like when you see him, What has changed since his first stint in the UFC?
No, man. I mean, if you look at his first stint in the UFC, Mark Davis, that was a close fight, and that was also a really good one. I think it was also fight of the night. Then the Alan Patrick one, he was clearly winning that fight, I think, and then he poked him in the eye in the second round, and it went to a no contest. The David Onama one, it's a good win if you look back at it now. And Ludovic Klein, that was a really bad fight for Mason, in my opinion. Went back to Cage Warriors, looked good there, got re-signed by the UFC. And it's look great. I think it has to do with him getting mature. He's getting older. You develop more. You keep developing, and he's still 30. So he should be in the prime of his career right now, in the beginning of his prime. I think. So I think he was still a little bit younger when he came first in the UFC. Maybe the lights got to him. He was maybe I don't know, but still, I never thought he was out of his place in the UFC. He was just like he wasn't able to set that next step, and he was very unlucky with that Alan Patrick contest. So I think he's a really good fighter, and I'm happy for him that it looks like he found his place now, and I think he's really good, man.
There's a guy named Rafael Fiziev who needs a fight, coming off a loss to Mauricio Rufy. Is that a fight that makes sense? Like it's two guys who don't know the meaning of the word back up or slow down. I mean,
But
is this like a perfect fight for them?
I mean, if Jones is ready to go in June, they can make that headline or co-headline Baku, I think, So I- I'd love to see that. Why not? I think there's an opportunity for Jones to get in the rankings, and there's an opportunity for Fiziev to show that he should still be ranked. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Actually, that's a good how do you say that? That's a good matchup by you. Yeah.
Well, let's get to the undercard. It's to me the guy who stole the show was a heavyweight, and yes, I know I love those heavyweights, but this one we could argue he actually delivered. Brando Perisic defeating Louis Sutherland, first round knockout, 148, and Brando looks like somebody who could be a problem for a lot of people. He's an in shape heavyweight, 6'5", 31 years old. Could we have sort of our next big sort of Aussie star since the legendary Mark Hunt?
I mean, you would hope, right? Because heavyweight really is in bad need of some good prospects. I mean, at least Brando has looked good in his first two fights. I said last week, I think, against Alicia Allison is really hard to read that fight because Alicia is kind of a bloated light heavyweight, in my opinion. And listen, Louis Sutherland is pretty decent, but I always thought that Brando was able to finish him and probably first round. So I wasn't too surprised with it. It was a good win by him, really good win, I think. It depends on who they match him up with next. I hope they give him somebody in the top 15. Let's see how good he is. If you look at how quickly they gave Josh Hockett Curtis Blades, for example, why not give this guy also somebody in the rankings? I mean, give him Shamil Gaziev, give him Mick Parkin if Mick Parkin is healthy. Give him somebody between 10 and 15, and let's see how he does. I'd be interested in it. Give him that Perth fight he asking for. Why not? Because that card isn't that great so far, in my opinion. But yeah, put him on the Perth card, put him on the main card. Give him somebody. Give him fucking Derek Lewis. I don't give shit. But give him somebody. Give him a good fighter, and let's see how he does. I mean, imagine him beating Derek Lewis. That's a big win. So give him Derek, give him Shamil Gaziev. I don't mind, but give him somebody in the top 15. He's promising, and I think when you finally have a heavyweight who looks kind of promising, you should try to get him in the top 15 as soon as possible.
Speaking of promising, Mario Pinto, we thought he was very promising after his last win, defeating Felipe Franco by unanimous decision, and yet it left you wanting. I mean, here's a guy who had the size advantage, 6'5", 79-inch, reach to 6'1", 76-inch reach. And call me crazy. Pinto just didn't look good. It was almost like he didn't want to lose. He fought just enough to win, but not enough to really make a statement.
Nah, it was bad, man. I mean, gotta be honest, it was bad. I expected a lot more from Mario Pinto, but it was just overall bad. Felipe Franco actually won the first round. Like, what the fuck, I have nothing against Felipe Franco. I'm actually really cool with his team, so I have nothing against him. But Mario Pinto shouldn't have trouble with Felipe Franco, in my opinion. And man, the stock of Mario Pinto went down a lot in this fight. Maybe you had just a bad day at the office, and then it's still good that you won at least. But yeah, it was just not it wasn't entertaining. It wasn't great. It was really like tentative almost. And I'm not used to that from Mario Pinto. At the same time, I said to Adam yesterday as well. Mario Pinto, I've seen a lot of his fights at LFL because he fought in the Netherlands, just like Louis Sutherland. They both were LFL champions. And Mario Pinto was like a really good fighter in the first 1.5 rounds, But after that, I saw him in 5-rounder. It slows down as well, And you saw this fight as well. It slows down. And it's not great, but at least he got the win. But it doesn't do anything for him. I think if he fought Mick Parkin was the original opponent, I think he fought Mick Parkin, he loses this fight. You know what I mean? And I'm not even high on Mick Parkin. So I hope for Pinto this was just a bad day at the office, and he was still able to win. And let's hope he can go further like how he started in the UFC, because he was promising. I don't want to write him off yet because we have so much heavyweights who are actually trying to make it to the top 15, But this wasn't a good fight in my opinion. And yeah, let's see what Pinto does next. I mean, you can have a bad fight sometimes.
Montes Contradavicius defeated
Yeah.
in his debut a game Antonio Tricoli. Looked good for the first 2 rounds. And then the third round, it was like, oh, this is getting a little bit worried here. Do we just chalk that up to UFC jitters, or does Montas need like a bit more seasoning just to be, realistic?
This was basically a heavyweight fight at middleweight, man. This was just not a good fight. Listen, this is debut, so I want to cut him some slack, but still, if you get your back taken in the third round by Antonio Tricoli, that's not good, man. And it was a very bad fight. Poor Rich Mitchell. Rich Mitchell was the referee for this fight and for Page against Sam Patterson. If I'm Rich Mitchell, I'm thinking about next London event to stay at home. This fight, I think he intervened like 4 or 5 times. The only thing that really made me laugh was like, guys, I told you already, be busy. Like he took it really personal that they didn't listen to him. But no, it wasn't a good fight, man. I think Montas deservedly won. But this is a typical fight I will never watch back again.
The pride of Palestine, Abdul
Yeah.
Karim Al Selwadi defeated Shamrock by unanimous decision. This was Al Shawadi looked very good. Shamrock looked like his corner was even begging him to throw a takedown. This was a disappointing fight. Van Rock throws a cheap shot right after as after the bell rings. So, does this say more about Al Sawadi, or does this say more about Rock that he's probably not a UFC fighter?
So I really like Abdul Karim Al Salwadi. He has been like very unlucky with injuries. He only fought once in the UFC so far. And Shamrock, he lost to Nurullo Aliyev a couple of months ago. Um, I mean, if you look at this from the beginning, I think Abdul Karim Al Salwadi looked really good in the fight. Was dictating the fight, was the better fighter. Shamrock didn't show up, in my opinion, again. The thing is, like, I have nothing against Shamrock, but I didn't like his the way of the big talk during the week. Man, he was like really disrespectful about Abdul Karim, calling him a midget. I don't mind calling people whatever, but it was unnecessary because Abdul Karim didn't do anything bad to him, and he was like really talking shit about him, then shove him during the weigh-in, and then trying to shake his hand before the fight in between rounds. If I fully agree with Abdul Karim, get the fuck out of here, dude. You act like a dick. Don't try to shake my hand now. And after the fight, Abdul Karim was still like, fuck off. And that was what rattled Shamrock, and that's why he threw a cheap shot. And then Abdul Karim got mad. They still shook hands after the announcement by Buffer. But yeah, I'm like, dude, if you talk the talk, you got to do it, and he didn't. And I have nothing against Shamrock. I really enjoyed his fights in Octagon, for example. But that fake kind of tough guy doing. It's something I've never liked. And it comes to bite you in the ass. You see it this time as well. And now he's 0-2 with two really bad performances in the UFC. Maybe he's lucky he gets a third fight, but I don't know. And for Abdul Karim, great win, man. Looked pretty good. Just a clean win for Abdul, and I'm happy for him. Abdul was a really good guy. I've been following him when he was in the regionals already. So yeah, I'm really happy for him.
And finally, Chanel Dyer made it with the first round knockout via TKO knees and punches against Ravenna Oliveira. Uh, does this say more about Dyer, who looked fantastic, or Oliveira, who now lost her three fights of the octagon? And oh, by the way, she didn't make weight either.
Yeah, I would almost say Chanel Dyer stole my heart, man, led this week, with the way the way she fought, her enthusiasm, her happiness when she heard that she won the 100K. Uh, just a super, she looks like super fun to watch, I think, a super fun personality as well. Um, yeah, I mean, she looked really good. And Ravina missed weight. It was point 0.5, so it's not too bad, but still missed weight. And yeah, I mean, I think Dyer was just a step above her, and I already thought that before the fight. I wanted a decision for Dyer before the fight, but I knew that she was probably going to win here because this was a tailor-made matchup for her to look good in her debut. Happy for her, she did well, and the happiness of winning that 100K. I don't know if you saw the video clip. That was really fun. So yeah, all good to her. And yeah, I think we also have to talk about the fight that didn't happen because of the 8 pound weight miss, right?
Oh, we're gonna get to that, but yeah, Dyer looks. I mean, I like Dyer. So again, but she sort of got screwed in the Contender Series. I think but she got the contract, so she's still young. I mean, she's only 6-1, 24 years old, so they'll probably slow roll her, but call me crazy. I think they have something here with her. Like, so this could be a future contender.
Yeah, she's fun for sure, and you see she has finishing power, and that's pretty rare for 115 women. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. I also think they will slow roll her for now. There is no how do you say that, hurry to feed her to the lions yet. But yeah, at least they have some fun. Another fun prospect at 115 again. I remember when I was watching the Contender Series when she fought Carol Foro and she lost. I was like, I don't know if the UFC needs to sign her. Of this loss. Maybe she needs a little bit more on the regionals, but I think the UFC made the right choice, and I was wrong. So yeah, I'm happy for Dyer, and yeah, that video of the bonus that kind of stole my heart, man. The way she reacted to that was so cool to watch. So yeah, all respect.
So the canceled fight we were talking about, Melissa Mullins
Mhm.
was supposed to face Luana Carolina,
Yeah,
8.5 pounds, Marcel. 8.5 friggin' pounds she came overweight. Thank God the UFC didn't try to push that through. And there was probably a thought of them like going, hey, maybe we can push this fight through. Thankfully, no. Again, if you should they just cut Carolina? Because I mean, if you're over by a pound or two, okay, fine, I can maybe understand.
yeah,
This is the second time she's missed weight now. Eight
yeah.
and a
It's the
half
fourth
pounds.
time.
What are we doing here?
It's actually the fourth time. She missed weight 3 times, plus she missed weight in a fight with Montana De La Rosa, which got canceled, and then Montana got cut. So she actually missed 4 times weight already. Um, the problem I have with this one is that she didn't inform anybody until like 3 hours before the weigh-ins, what I've heard, So that's just disrespectful, in my opinion. You know during fight week, already if you are that high, listen, if it's 1 or 2 pounds, you try, and if it happens, it happens. It shouldn't happen, but it happens. But if you're 8 pounds too heavy, you know that you're not going to make it. So it's also a disrespect from her to her opponent. I know Melissa Mullins has missed weight before, but we're not now there. We're now at Luana, and I think, and I like Luana, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against her, but I think it's super unprofessional to miss weight 4 times, Don't tell anybody until like 3 hours before or anything, and then just weigh in with the fucking box when you know you're 8 pounds over. The box doesn't go. You might cut off your arm, you maybe have a chance to make the weight, but it's just super stupid, And I think, listen, I'm never saying like the UFC should cut somebody because it's their job, but if the UFC cuts her, it would be deserved, in my opinion. And this is really bad overall. And I'm happy the commission pulled the fight. Not happy for Melissa Mullis because she accepted the fight. Actually, she wanted the fight. But the commission is there for the safety of the fighter, and I think they did the right thing. Because what happens if Luana Carolina wins that fight? That doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I think it's the right thing. I hope the UFC gave Mullins her show money. They also should give her a win money, to be honest. But, yeah, overall bad situation.
All right. You're allowed to peacock. I know, but I heard rumors afterwards. We'll get to that in a second. But first, Costello van Steenis and his brother both won at PFL Madrid. Steenis TKO knockout to retain the middleweight championship over Fabian Edwards. So first, were the rumors true that you were partying with the Van Steenis boys afterwards? I heard there was, dancing on tables, flirting with women, lots of champagne. Were you partying in Spain with your fellow countrymen after their dominant wins?
I know them both, but we're not that close. But I'm happy for them, of course. Great wins. I never understand why Costello was an underdog to Leon up to Fabian Edwards. I think he's a much better fighter overall. And I don't know what Fabian Edwards' game plan was for this one. The TKO was kind of funny, or the knockout. Yeah, good win. Two of the three Dutch fighters on the card won. I know they both go under the Spanish flag, but they're also there. They're born in the Netherlands. So yeah, I mean, good wins for Gino and also for Costello. Benita lost, which sucks for her. But she'll be back. But overall, I mean, good win for Costello. And he's getting stronger every time we see him. I think he's also still developing. He's a strong guy, and he's big, man. I've met him once in Belgium, like I think a year or 5, 6 ago. I shook his hand. I was talking a little bit with him. He's huge, man. Listen, I'm huge, but he's big as well. So yeah, he will be a force, man, for sure.
You can tell they want to do the rematch with him and Johnny Eblin after.
Yeah.
Do you like him in the rematch? I mean, now that you've seen him
Oh,
and he's getting a little bit better, I mean, all of a sudden do you go, hey, this might be a 50-50 fight now with Johnny in the rematch?
it's very difficult because Johnny Ablin has that wrestling, and I mean Costello can wrestle, but not as good as Johnny Ablin. So that's difficult. And let's be honest, if Costello doesn't win in the last seconds against Ablin, he loses a decision. So I think that will be a pretty difficult fight for him still. It depends on how he can be able to keep that fight on the feet. I know he choked him out, but he needs to keep the fight on the feet. And that will be interesting if that's possible. But I definitely think we need to see the rematch for sure. Yeah.
Well, we have a double header. We'll get to that we'll get to the UFC card in a second. First, let's go to PFF's in Pittsburgh fight. It's Johnny Eblin versus a hometown fight here against none other than sorry, popped to here versus Marcus Battle here. We also have Dalton Rasta versus Isa Kasangangi. Let's start out with Eblin. Is he a guy who the BFL can build around? Is he a guy that you can look at and go, hey, all right, sorry, Brian Battle. Is Eblin a guy that could A, sell tickets and B, be sort of the face of that company?
I think he kind of is, but his the loss to Costello did not ever think very good for him because people were saying like this guy would also be top five in the UFC. But after losing to Costello, a lot of people were like, maybe not. So he needs to win against Brian Battle, and this will be an interesting fight. How good is Brian Battle? We can see with the grappling as well. We can see in this fight. It's an interesting one. The winner probably fights Costello next. Yeah, Abner needs to win here to secure his title shot at middleweight. And for Battle, it's an interesting battle. Ha! Yeah, it's an interesting battle for Battle. I think But he can make a great first impression, I think, or maybe a second one. But I mean, for people who think he might be able to also fight for a title in PFL, you know.
Dalton Ross is a guy who, when he first came on, a lot of people were big on the hype train with him. It's slowed down a bit ever since we lost Aaron Jeffrey and then getting knocked out by Fabian Edwards. But him versus Impa Kasagani here, this at least you feel is going to be a firework fight. Winner of this possibly, becomes the number one contender after Eblin versus Costello van Steenis. Loser of this, there are some questions. Who do you like, and who's the guy that the fans should like?
So yeah, I'm pretty high always on Dalton Rosta, and then he gets knocked out by fucking Fabian Edwards. I was so surprised by that, to be honest. Impa is a really fun fighter. I always liked him also when he was in the UFC. Um, he also lost to Fabian Edwards. I mean, I'm so surprised twice by that both guys lost to Fabian Edwards, but he won against Andrew Sanchez last time. Um, Overall, I think it will be a pretty close fight, you know, but I have more faith in Dalton Rosta in this one, you know, to get to win. But I think overall it will be a pretty close fight. But at the end, I would probably take Dalton Rosta to win here because I think he can mix in the wrestling a lot as well, you know, and also the striking. I think overall he's better probably, you know. It's a 3 rounder. I think he wins at least 2 of the 3 rounds. So yeah.
Ariana Lipinski, aka the Queen of Violence, who they signed from the UFC. She gets her PFL debut against Sumiko Inaba. This is not going to be easy for Lipinski. I mean, Inaba is a pretty damn good fighter. I mean, do you feel that, PFL gave her too much right off the bat against somebody who, the hardcore fans know, the casuals don't?
I'll be really honest with you. Sumiko Inaba is an okay fighter, but I've never seen her like anything like a world class or whatever. You know, I always thought like when she fought better opponents, she doesn't do great. You know, she lost to Denise Kilos, and she lost to Dakota Ditchev. I know Ditchev has undefeated is really good, and she made it till the full decision. You know, but still, I'm not that impressed by her, you know. And Ariane Lipski has been like on a really kind of a bad thing in the UFC. You know, she was in the UFC, went 6-8 in total, lost her last 3 fights. But still, I think if you made Subiko Inaba fight Karine Silva, Jasmine Jastovicius, and Wang Song, she also loses. You know what I mean? So, um, no, I favor Lipski in this fight, to be honest. I think she can win the decision here, man. I think this is a fight she can win. I think a lot of people will probably go for Inaba, but I think Lipski can win this fight for sure, you know?
Rounding out the main card, we get two undefeated prospects. Alexi Pergrande at a featherweight fight against Julio Arce, and
Mm.
Lazaro Dayron from Cuba takes on Jacob Thrall. Both guys, I feel like they're being set up for like, all right, tough test, but it should pass. Which one has the higher ceiling, Dayron or Pelgrande?
I think Grande has the higher ceiling, but I cannot pick against my guy Julio Arce, man. I love Julio. I'm really good with Julio, so I'm not going to pick against him. I'm biased here, you know. I'm being honest, but Alex Grande is really good. He's a kill cliff guy, you know, big talent. This is going to be a very tough task for Julio, I think, you know. But I'm interested to see it. And Lazaro Dayron, yeah, I think I'm not too familiar with Lazaro Dayron, you know, but. He has looked pretty decent so far. He beat Bryce Meriden in his last fight last year. But besides that, I'm not too familiar with him, you know. And his opponent, Jacob Thrall, I've seen him fight more often, you know. Decent guy, you know, nothing spectacular in my opinion, you know, but he's pretty decent, but hasn't fought really good opponents, pretty mediocre opponents so far. So yeah, I think Lazaro should be able to win here, but we'll see. You know, you never know what's happening. You know,
All right, let's get to the main course. It is UFC Fight Night Seattle. It is Israel Adesyana versus Joe Pyfer in a main event middleweight scrap. And if you had said 5 years ago this fight was happening, I would say, all right, Israel's gonna just destroy Joe. It's am I crazy? But all of a sudden, I'm looking here. I'm thinking, Joe Pyfer is a guy who could really just end Israel very quickly, especially the Israel who's been struggling his last couple of fights.
Yeah, I mean, I talked with my co-host Adam yesterday about it, and we both picking Pyfer in this fight, and it's not that we think Pyfer is anything amazing. I think he's really decent. But we feel like Adesanya, the thing is, like, if you look, Adesanya can win this one if it keeps it really technical, because he's a very technical striker. The thing is, like, Pyfer has knockout power. He can also strike with Adesanya, but the thing is, he have a massive grappling advantage over Adesanya. So this is not a very good fight for Izzy, probably. Can Izzy win? For sure. He has the talent. He has every talent to win this fight. He's still good, but he's on a bad skid. I'm picking Pyfer here to upset Adesanya, and Pyfer is still the underdog, I think. So to upset Adesanya, but I wouldn't be surprised if Izzy wins. I think this fight is close, but it kind of depends. We probably see in the first 3 minutes who's going to win this fight, I think.
Could Pyfer knock out Adesyana in around the first or second round? I mean, we thought that if I said this couple, like 3 or 4 years ago, people would say, "Oh, you're crazy, you're on drugs." But after watching the Imavov fight and him just destroying Adesyana in the second round, I mean, again, it's something's missing with Adesyana. Maybe it's the killer instinct. Maybe it's just all the time has caught up. It's he doesn't look like the same guy where we saw against Costa, Cannonier, or even Robert Whitaker.
I mean, people get older. I mean, it happens. But the thing is, like, yeah, the thing I have him by submission second round Pyfer. I think he wins by submission. I think he's smart and knows how to get Adesanya to the ground and finishes him there. I think that's what I think happens. But like I said, man, this is a fight that can go either way. I'm picking Pyfer, but it's not like I'm 100% sure that he's going to beat Adesanya.
In the co-main event, we got Macy Barber versus Alexa Grasso. First, we got to ask the big question here: will Macy Barber make weight? Because you always have to worry about that with her. Like, okay, is there going to be? Will this fight get canceled? Will she make weight? Will she faint? I mean, or do you think she's turned a corner and this is for her like a statement where she could maybe all of a sudden get back into the 125-pound title, contention?
Yeah, she might have to go to the barber if she doesn't make weight. But I mean, this fight. I know Alexa Grasso comes off a couple of losses, a loss against Valentina, against the champion, and against Natalia Silva. Barbara West won our last fight. But thing is, like, it matters against who you fight pretty much. And Barbara would have lost to Valentina and to Natalia Silva as well, in my opinion. So they fought before, Grasso and Barbara. Grasso was the better fighter. I have no reason to pick Barbara in this fight right now. I think Grasso knows how to win against her. She did it before, and why she wouldn't be able to do it again? Barbara clearly won against Karine Silva last time, but it was far from impressive. So I still have the feeling the UFC really wants to push Barbara for some reason, but I don't see it, to be honest.
All right, we're putting you on. We gotta put you on the spot because usually you're like, hey, if a guy's retiring, I'm not picking him. But the other guy, I don't know if I want to pick him either. Michael Kisa announced his retirement. This will be his final fight in his hometown. Congrats to Michael Kisa, wonderful guy. You know, tough as nails. An overachiever you can argue in terms of the talent and everything he's accomplished. He takes on Nico Price in a fight where again, as you said, I'm rooting for Kisa because he's earned that, but at the same time, you feel for Nico Price and that he's a guy that we should also say, well, he might need to retire as well.
Yeah, and listen, Michael Chiesa, I think he's an amazing guy. One top 15. Um, he's been like a mainstay for years in the division, and I don't like the hate I see for Michael Chiesa online. Guy's a good dude, um, and he will go out likely with a win, I think. I was surprised that they got Nico Price because Nico fought recently against Varatanigo and got knocked out. Um, This is a good fight for Mike, you know. It's a good fight to end his career. Maybe he can even get the 100K bonus. Would be amazing for him, right? Um, yeah, this is a winnable fight for him. I'm picking Chiesa. I even got to say you the way how he's going to do it. He wins by Darce choke in the first round. That's how I'm picking him, and he's going out with a bang, I think. And I wish him a happy retirement. You know, I enjoy his fights. He's a good dude, like I said, and I don't like the hate he gets online, and I have no idea why that is. But yeah, also shout out to Michael Chiesa. Also shout out to Nico Price taking this fight on short notice. Nico never pulls out. Nico always shows up. Great fighter. Great guy.
Rest of the main card, we got Julian Erosa versus Larion Douglas.
Hmm.
We have TJ. We got his Yusri Bugras versus Yassin Abdul Malik. And rounding it off, we have a pretty. This at least should be just, all action packed. We got Terrence T. Rex McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. Give me who you like, and give me the guy that you of the six fighters that you look and go, he has the most potential.
So we're starting with Larian Douglas against Julian Erosa. Erosa also fighting for his home crowd. He's from Spokane. Um, yeah, I mean, whew, this is, I think it will be a fun fight, but I'm really high on Larian Douglas, man. The funny thing is, like, if you look at his record, it's not that impressive, but I think he's a really impressive fighter, and I think he can win as well. And he's also from that same group as Cap Swanson, Danny Silva, you know. I think he can win here for sure. It's his debut, but I'm picking him to win. If you look at the next one, this one is really interesting. It's Abdul Malik against Yusri Belgaroui. Belgaroui from my country. He's from Amsterdam. Um, yeah, I mean, Yusri really kind of surprised me in his first fight against Azamat Bekoyev. His takedown defense was on point, and I haven't seen that with him before. You know, he's really like a striker. He's coming from kickboxing background from Glory, right? He fought Alex Pereira there, and Adesanya, for example. He's now training with Alex Pereira and Glover Teixeira. Um, yeah, this is an interesting fight, man. I think if it stays on the feet, he knocks Abdul Malik out. You know, but if Abdul Malik is smart and he's been able to get him to the ground, probably Abdul Malik can be able to win that fight. But he has to probably take him to the ground, I think. But I would pick Yusri in this one. The other one, Terrence McKinney, Kyle Nelson is pretty straightforward. If Terrence McKinney doesn't knock him out in the first 3 rounds, Kyle Nelson probably walks away with it. But I think Terrence McKinney will land a shot and knock him out in the first 3 minutes. So that's pretty straightforward, that one. The highest ceiling from this one, probably Yusri because it's at middleweight, and I think there is more. It's easier to get into the middleweight top 15 probably than to get into the 145 top 15 right now with Arian Douglas in his first UFC fight, or with Terrence McKinney who has like already got the chance to get in the top 15 but has failed so far. You know, so. Yeah, probably the most upside for Belgaroui if he wins. And if Abdul Malik wins, it's the most upside for him probably. So that's the most important fight of the three, in my opinion.
Prelims, we got Ignacio Bahamondes versus Tofik Musayev.
Mhm.
Does Bahamondes win by knockout, or does Musayev get this fight to the ground and win by submission or decision?
A decision for Bahamondes, but I think he can also win by submission and he can win by knockout. I think Bahamondes, it really sucks for Messiah because he was supposed to fight Samuel Sanchez, which was at least, I don't say an easy fight, but definitely an easier fight than Bahamondes is, you know. And Bahamondes is still borderline top 15 guy, in my opinion. So I think Bahamondes wins this. Uh, I'm going with decision because Messiah is tough, but we've seen him be finished against Earl Boy, so it wouldn't surprise me if he gets finished again. But I'm going with decision with this one.
Marcin Tybura takes on former Bellator heavyweight contender and UFC newcomer Tyrell Fortune in a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
This to me is dangerous for Tybura, who he gets a big, powerful wrestler who probably could take him down, and it's short notice. Call me crazy. I like Fortune into this fight.
So I was really on the fence with this fight, but I also picked Fortune. Um, the thing with Tabura is he's really inconsistent, you know, and I don't know. The thing is, like, with Tabura, I always have the feeling if I pick for him, he loses, and if I pick against him, he wins. So I'm picking against him this time. I think Fortune will be able to wrestle him a lot. I think he wins a decision. Don't think it will be a great fight, but I think Fortune wins his debut. Yeah, and it's as unexpected debut, pretty much, but good for him.
Chase Hooper takes on Lance Gibson Jr. in a fight which I feel bad for Lance. He's a good young fighter, but once again, they matchmaking didn't do him any favors.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like Chase Hooper in his last fight, he lost to Alexander Hernandez. So he gets a step back in competition. And Lance debut against King Green, lost the decision. So, yeah, I mean, and this is close to Lance's home, I think, Seattle. He's from Canada, but it's close to his home. Hooper, I think the thing is, like, if Hooper gets this fight to the ground, I think he wins. Striking, he might be in trouble. Um, so I think Hooper will be able to get it to the ground and wins the decision. But yeah, I think this fight isn't as far from each other as a lot of people think. I think it's much closer.
We got Casey O'Neill taking on Gabriela Gabby Fernandez in a women's flyweight scrap. I know the UFC really wants Casey O'Neill to win. Is this a fight that for her is just a good matchup?
No, it's not. I think this is a really close fight, to be honest. Gabriela Fernandez is one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC in the women's division. She beat Wang Song when everybody was thinking Wang Song was going to win. She lost to Carly Judice, and that was like a close fight. And that was like, or did she? It was at least a close fight. It was a fight of the night. Was a really close fight. She's just really good, you know. And the thing is, like with Casey O'Neill hasn't fought for some time. Um, isn't bad. I think she's really decent as well. She's fighting now from out of Thailand. She's at Bangtao MMA. Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I think it will be super close. This fight definitely can go to the judges' scorecard being a split decision. I think that's how close I expect this fight to be.
Final three fights because then we're pressure time. We get Sterling, the undefeated kid at 8-0 from Australia, taking on Bruno Lopez in the light heavyweight prelim. Ricky Simon taking on Adrian Yanez in the battle of two grizzled veterans at a bantamweight scrap. And the opening fight will be Alexia Thainara taking on Bruno Brazil in a women's flyweight scrap. For the degenerate gamblers who are betting on this, Marcel, give me who wins out of these three fights and which fight do you think will be the most action packed?
Well, the most action pack is pretty straightforward. That's Ricky Simon against Adrian Yanez. I think. That fight is really low on the card. Ricky Simon, we know he's super tough. He's good with the wrestling. Yanez, really good striker, fun to watch as well. So that's a fun fight. I would pick Yanez, but I wouldn't be surprised if Simon wins because of the wrestling. Navajo Sterling, Bruno Lopez. On paper, kind of a horrible fight, I think, but only if Sterling knocks him out early on, probably not. But this one can be a really boring decision. But I think you pick Sterling any day in this one, to be honest. And the opener, Alexia Tainara against Bruna Brazil. This is funny. We started with Nicola Cagliari against Caro Foro. Then Cagliari was out, and we got Caro Foro against Stephanie Rondina. What's her name? Stephanie Luciano. Then Carl Foro was out, and we get Alexia Tainara against Stephanie Luciano, and then Luciano is out, and now we have Tainara against Brazil. All Brazilian girls, by the way. And the funny thing with this one is Bruna Brazil recently lost her fight, and she lost to Katlyn Souza. And Katlyn Souza is the teammate of Alexia Tainara. They both train at the Ribas family with Amanda Ribas and her dad. And they will be in the corner as well this time. So Bruna Brazil basically facing the same team as last time, just a different fighter. The thing is, they fought each other before. And I think when they were both amateur or in the regionals when they were young in their pro career, and Bruna actually submitted her. So the tables are turned now. I think Tainara is a minus 500 favorite or something. And the thing is, Tainara is like really physical. I think back in the day she wasn't as physical as now, and Bruna is still like. Bruna is really like the girly girl, how she looks like with the physics. And Tainara is really like that stocky, muscly girl as she became. And I think Tainara will use that in this fight. So I picked Tainara in this one. I think she either submits or wins a decision. So yeah, those are my picks for Seattle, man.
Well, there you have, it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we always love having on the show. I give you from Tapology, Eurosport UFC, and MMA Oddsbreaker podcast. I'll give you Marcel Dorff. So, Marcel, once again, where can fans check you out at? Where's the Twitter, the Rumble, the YouTube channel, Instagram? Where can fans hit you up at?
Yeah, first of all, Chris, always thank you for having me, man. It's really cool always coming on your podcast. I love talking to you. You can find me on BitMarcel24, Twitter, Instagram. Eurosport.nl mixed martial arts sections for my articles, and MMA Oddsbreaker podcast with Adam Martin. It's on a Sunday. This time it was on Saturday. We did it. Preview and recap of the UFC cards, pretty much, and yeah, that's it basically. Thank you for having me, and to everybody who listened to this, thanks for listening. Thank you so much.
Marcel Dorff, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always honor, pleasure to have you on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on here, only on it's Last Call. Last Call at the alcohol, only on the Last Call podcast.com.